The sky above Earth turned silver on a warm summer morning. People across the planet stopped and looked up as a huge alien ship slowly entered the atmosphere. It moved like a cloud, silent and bright, casting a soft light over cities, forests, and oceans. It was the first time humans saw the Valaria, powerful alien race from a distant star system. They were not enemies, but explorers. Their ship landed near Earth's International Space Embassy, built just outside Geneva. World leaders, scientists, and military officers waited in silence as a ramp opened from the ship's side. Then they saw her. She stood over 9 feet tall, wearing a smooth dark blue suit with silver armor plates. Her skin was pale gray, her eyes golden and calm. She looked strong, like she could lift a car with one hand, but she moved with grace, almost like a dancer. Her name was Tehran. She was a Valari warrior and diplomat, sent to learn about Earth and decide if humans were worthy allies. As the crowd stared, someone in the back whispered, "She's huge." But Tehran heard. She looked down at the small humans gathered below and spoke with a voice that echoed through the embassy's speakers. "You're small." It was not an insult, just a fact. And that's when Milo saw her for the first time. Milo wasn't a soldier or a politician. He was a systems technician, one of the many workers helping with alien communication systems. He had short brown hair, a thin frame, and a habit of keeping his head down. He wasn't special, not strong, not brave. But today, he had been assigned to assist Tehran with tech support. He didn't expect to speak with her, but when she walked straight toward the control station, looked down at him, and said, "Are you the one who handles your systems?" He froze. "Yes," Milo replied, trying not to stare at how tall she was. I help with data communications." Tehran tilted her head, examining him like a puzzle. "You are small," she said again, this time softer. Milo didn't know what to say, so he simply nodded. "Yes, I guess I am." She gave a short nod in return. "Come, show me your systems." From that moment, Milo became her assistant. Not by choice, but because Tehran requested him directly. The next few days were strange. Tehran moved through the embassy with ease, towering over everyone. People stepped aside when she walked by. Children pointed from behind windows. Some guards even saluted. Milo followed her everywhere, carrying tools, fixing data lines, and explaining human tech. Tehran never said much, but she watched everything, every detail, every human. She asked many questions. How do your machines work in cold? Why do you keep animals in buildings? Why do your leaders argue in public? Milo answered each question with patience. Sometimes she looked at him like she was surprised he understood her. Other times, she just stared at him like he was curious, strange, maybe even interesting. One afternoon, Tehran asked to visit a mountain site where Earth scientists had placed alien signal towers. The area was rocky, high, and hard to climb. Most of the embassy staff thought she would go alone. But Tehran said, "Milo will come." "But I'm not a field agent," Milo said, shocked. "You fix systems." She replied, "That is what I need." So he went. The climb was rough. Tehran walked easily, stepping over boulders like they were nothing. Milo tried to keep up, his backpack full of tools, his legs burning with every step. After an hour, he slipped on loose gravel and fell hard. His knee hit the stone, and he let out a sharp breath. Tehran turned. She looked at him for a long second, then walked back. "You are not made for this terrain," she said. "I'm fine," Milo muttered. Trying to stand, she watched him struggle, then finally sighed. "Too small," she said again, and before he could argue, she bent down, picked him up with one arm, and placed him gently across her shoulder. Milo was too stunned to speak. Her shoulder was firm, and she walked as if his weight was nothing. "I can walk," he said, his voice slightly embarrassed. "I know," she said calmly, "but slower, and with pain. This is more efficient." She didn't tease him, didn't smile. She just kept walking up the mountain. Milo stopped struggling. The wind brushed his face as she climbed higher. From up here, he could see the clouds, the peaks, and the curve of the earth far away. He had never felt so small, and yet never so seen. By the time they reached the signal tower, the sun was starting to set. Milo fixed the antenna, while Tehran stood guard. She didn't speak much, but her eyes never stopped moving. When the work was done, she looked at him and said, "You are useful. Small, but useful." "Thanks," Milo said, smiling a little. "You're big, but polite." She blinked at him. "Is that a joke?" she asked. "A small one," he replied. She looked away, but Milo thought he saw the corner of her lips lift just a little. That night, back at the embassy, Milo wrote in his digital log, "Today, a 9-foot-tall alien woman called me small, then carried me up a mountain like I was a backpack. And honestly, it wasn't so bad." He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but something had changed. Tehran didn't look at humans the same way anymore, and she didn't look at him the same way either. The days after the mountain climb were busy but strange for Milo. He had become more than just a technician. He was now Tehran's assistant and guide. Wherever she went, he followed, sometimes nervously, sometimes excited. He felt like he was walking between two worlds, one full of tiny human concerns, the other vast and strange like the stars. Tehran continued to watch him closely. Sometimes she made small test little challenges to see how he reacted. One morning, she led him to the embassy's equipment room. The walls were lined with machines humans had built to communicate across space. Some were old and rusty, others were new and complex. "Show me," Tehran said simply. Milo nodded and moved to a console. "This device sends signals to satellites. It helps us talk to our ships and other planets." She looked at the screen, then pointed to a blinking red light. "What is that?" Milo leaned in. "That means there's a problem with the signal." Tehran's eyes narrowed. "Fix it." Milo smiled. "Okay." He began pressing buttons and typing on the keyboard. His fingers moved quickly, but the problem was not easy. The signal was weak because a small part was broken. He went to a shelf and picked up a tiny metal piece of transmitter chip. It was smaller than his thumb. "Do you want me to replace it?" Milo asked. Tehran nodded. "Yes, but be careful." Milo replaced the chip, powered the machine again, and watched the red light change to green. "Signal restored," he said proudly. Tehran stepped closer, studying the device. "Small thing," she said, "makes big difference." Milo looked up. "That's true. Sometimes small parts are the most important." She nodded slowly. "Humans are like that too." He smiled. "Sometimes we don't have strong bodies, like Villari, but we use our minds." That afternoon, they were called to a meeting with the Villari Council. The council members were tall and serious. They did not smile. They did not speak kindly. Tehran stood before them with Milo by her side. "Humans are small," one council member said loudly. "They are weak. How can they help us against the Grith? They cannot fight. They cannot survive." Tehran raised her voice. "Size is not the only measure of strength. Humans think differently. They are clever and quick." Another council member sneered. "Cleverness will not stop the Grith machines. They will crush anything smaller than us." Tehran looked at Milo. He felt her silent support. She said firmly, "I have seen human skills in the field." Milo repaired a damaged drone in minutes. Human engineers made a shield out of scrap metal in hours. They adapt, they learn. The council was quiet. Some looked surprised. Others still doubted. Milo felt small again, this time in front of a room full of giants who didn't believe in him or his people. After the meeting, Tehran turned to him. "You show them your strength not by muscle, but by action." Milo nodded. "I will try." Days passed, and Milo saw the difference between Villari and humans more clearly. The Villari were tall and strong. They loved physical power. They trained their bodies every day, lifting heavy weights, running long distances, practicing with weapons. Their battles were loud and full of force. Humans were different. Milo watched soldiers training with machines and gadgets. They moved carefully, worked as teams, and used their brains to win. Some had no strength, but had quick hands or sharp eyes. One evening, Milo and Tehran were on a rooftop, watching the city lights. Your people are curious. Turan said quietly. We have to be, Milo replied. Our planet is small. We don't have the space or power Valari have. We survive by learning and working together. Turan nodded thoughtfully. I thought size was everything, but you have shown me strength in other forms. Milo looked up at her. We all have different kinds of strength. I think that's what you're learning too. She smiled for the first time, a soft, small smile that made her eyes glow. Then one day, Turan invited Milo to join her on a reconnaissance mission outside Earth's atmosphere. They were going to visit a research station on the moon. Milo was nervous. He had never been outside the atmosphere before, but Terran's calm presence gave him courage. The shuttle took off smoothly. Inside the small cabin, Milo looked at the stars through the window. Turan sat beside him. You're ready? Milo swallowed. I hope so. At the moon station, the ground was dusty and silent. The research team welcomed them warmly, but they were all smaller than Turan. Some looked afraid. During the visit, a sudden alarm sounded. A solar storm was approaching faster than expected. The station needed to secure equipment quickly. Valari. Soldiers moved to lift heavy machinery, but some equipment was fragile and needed careful handling. Milo saw the panic and stepped forward. Let me help, he said. He worked with the human scientists, carefully packing delicate instruments. His hands were small but steady. Turan watched from nearby. When a heavy container almost fell, Milo caught it with quick reflexes. Small, Turan muttered, but fast. When the storm hit, the station shield held strong. The team was safe afterwards. The Valari leader at the station said to Turan, perhaps humans are more useful than we believed. Turan smiled at Milo. You carried this mission with your skill. Milo laughed softly. I didn't carry the equipment, but I guess I carried the team's hope. Back on Earth, Milo felt a new confidence. He was still small, still less strong, but he had found his place. Turan continued to test him, but with respect. She stopped saying small as a simple fact. Sometimes she said it with a tone that meant something deeper, like a secret. One evening, she asked Milo to join her in the embassy garden. Why do you not give up? She asked quietly. Milo thought for a moment. Because giving up is easy. But I want to prove humans are more than what they seem. Turan nodded slowly. You surprise me. Milo smiled. Maybe being small means we surprise others. She looked at him for a long moment, then said, you will need to be ready. The real test is coming. Milo's heart quickened. What test? Turan did not answer. Instead, she turned and walked away, her tall form disappearing into the shadows. That night, Milo lay awake thinking about what she had said. He was small, but maybe that did not mean he was weak. Maybe, just maybe, the Valari had more to learn from humans than he thought. The quiet days that followed felt like a calm before a storm. Milo worked closely with Turan, learning more about the Valari and their ways. But beneath the calm, worries stirred. The Valari had received the warning. From deep space, a dangerous enemy was coming. They called them the Grith, a cyber-organic race that destroyed everything in their path. Planets, starships. Entire civilizations had fallen to their power. The Valari knew the Grith well. They had already lost many in battles against them. Turan gathered Milo in a quiet room of the embassy. The large windows showed the blue planet outside, peaceful and unaware. The Grith moved closer. She said softly, they are strong, fast, and do not stop. We must prepare. Milo nodded. He felt the weight of her words. But how? Milo asked. We are small. We cannot fight the Grith like the Valari do. Terran's golden eyes studied him. We must use every strength, she said. Muscle, yes, but also mind. Milo remembered how the Valari Council doubted humans. They don't believe humans are warriors. Turan sighed. They do not understand, but I do. She reached into her pack and pulled out a small, broken drone. One of the scouts used to watch the Grith's movements. This drone was destroyed in battle. She explained, a Valari warrior would fix it slowly, but a human engineer quick. Clever can fix it fast. She looked at Milo. You fixed this faster than any Valari technician. Milo felt small again. But this time, it was not bad. It was a proud moment. The next days were busy. The embassy became a center of preparation. Humans and Velari worked side by side. Scientists designed new weapons and shields. Engineers built faster ships. But Milo noticed something strange. The Velari still looked down on humans. They whispered among themselves, questioning whether the small species could help. Tehran stood firm. You will see, she told Milo. Humans fight with something we lack. Milo was not sure what she meant. One afternoon, they traveled to a remote valley on Earth. There, the Velari had a training camp for their warriors. Tehran wanted Milo to observe. The valley was wide and filled with rocky hills. Velari warriors, trained by lifting massive weights, running fast, and practicing with heavy weapons. Milo watched carefully. The Velari were impressive. Their muscles bulged. Their moves were powerful. Then the training changed. A group of human soldiers arrived. They were not strong or tall, but they carried strange devices, small machines that hummed with energy. The humans set up a defense system, a shield generator that could protect the camp from attacks. Milo watched as the human commander directed his team. They moved quickly and smartly, working together. The Velari chief looked surprised. This is different, he said. Humans do not fight like us. Tehran smiled. They fight with their minds. Their teamwork is strong. Milo felt proud later. Milo and Tehran sat by a small fire. The night was cold, the stars bright above. Tell me, Milo. Tehran said, why do humans keep fighting, even when they are small and weak? Milo thought for a moment. Because we don't want to lose. He said, because giving up means we lose everything. We fight for family, for home, for hope. Tehran looked at the fire, then back at Milo. Velari fight for honor and strength, but humans fight for love and hope. That is powerful. Milo smiled. Maybe that's why we survive. Tehran nodded slowly. Suddenly, a message arrived from space. The Grith were attacking again. A Velari outpost on a nearby moon had been destroyed. The council ordered a meeting. Tehran and Milo attended with other leaders. We must fight back, the Velari commander said. But the Grith are too strong. Tehran stood. We need a new plan. We need to use human minds and Velari's strength together. The council members grumbled. We cannot trust humans with battle, one said. They are too small. Tehran raised her voice. I have seen what humans can do. Milo helped save a scout drone. Human engineers build shields. They adapt faster than the Grith. We must use this. The room grew quiet. Some council members looked thoughtful. Milo felt nervous, but stood taller. We are ready to help, he said. I will do whatever it takes. Tehran placed a hand on his shoulder. You will lead the human teams. Milo's heart raced. Leading was a big responsibility. The preparations began quickly. Human and Velari teams trained together. Milo helped design new strategies combining strength and technology. Tehran watched him with pride. One day, during a practice battle, a Velari warrior struggled with a heavy weapon. Milo stepped forward and helped adjust the device. You are small, the warrior said with a smile. But you have big ideas. Milo laughed. Size is just one part of strength. Tehran nodded nearby. That night, Milo and Tehran looked out at the stars. The Grith are coming, Milo said quietly. Tehran replied, yes, but we are ready. Together, Milo felt hope. Maybe being small was not a weakness after all. Maybe it was a secret strength. Milo stood beside Tehran on the command deck of the Velari flagship orbiting Earth. Outside the wide glass windows, the stars sparkled cold and distant. But the silence felt heavy, full of waiting and tension. The Grith fleet was near. They had been gathering in a dark corner of space, growing stronger with each destroyed world. Now, they had turned their attention to Earth and the Velari allies. Tehran's golden eyes scanned the starry battlefield ahead. Ships moved silently like shadows. Some small, some huge and menacing. The Grith vessels were twisted metal and strange. Machines, alive with energy and dangerous intent. Milo swallowed hard. He was no soldier. But today, He will lead the human teams. Are you ready? Tehran asked softly. Milo nodded. I have to be. The command center buzzed with activity. Velari officers shouted orders, technicians typed rapidly, and screens showed fast-moving images of the incoming enemy. The humans moved quickly, setting up communication links, repairing damaged drones, and preparing their unique defense systems. Milo checked the status of his teams. They were nervous but focused. Many were young, small, and scared. But they believed in the mission. Terra and came close. Remember, she said, strength is not only muscle. Use your mind. Use your speed. Milo smiled. I will. The battle began suddenly. Bright beams of light shot from the Grith ships. Explosions rocked the Velari fleet. Sirens blared. Tehran stood firm. Her tall figure a symbol of strength and calm. She directed her warriors to counterattack. Leading with powerful strikes and sharp commands, Milo's human teams worked behind the scenes. They repaired broken shields, hacked enemy drones, and used small, fast ships to confuse the Grith. The Grith machines were strong, but they were not fast thinkers. Milo's teams used clever tricks. They sent false signals, jammed communications, and used hit-and-run tactics. One group of human pilots, small and quick, dodged the massive Grith fighters. They attacked weak spots and escaped before the enemy could react. Milo watched the screens with pride. Suddenly, a warning flashed. A large Grith warship was heading straight for the Velari flagship. This is bad, Milo said. Tehran's eyes narrowed. Prepare the defense drones, she ordered. Milo's teams rushed to respond. But the warship moved faster than expected. It fired a heavy beam that hit the flagship's shield. The shield flickered, then began to fail. Shield at 50%, a technician shouted. Tehran looked at Milo. Can you fix it? Milo nodded. I'll try. He jumped into action, sending commands to the human engineers. They worked fast, rerouting power, adjusting shield frequency, and repairing circuits. But the beam kept coming. Milo felt sweat drip down his forehead. His fingers flew over the controls. Hold the line. Tehran shouted to the warriors. The Velari warriors raised their weapons and charged. They clashed with the enemy fighters in a storm of light and sound. Milo's efforts paid off. The shield's power surged back. The Grith beam hit the shield again but bounced off. Tehran smiled briefly. You did well, Milo. Milo's heart pounded. Thanks. The battle raged on for hours. Ships exploded, fighters fell, and the stars were filled with fire. Milo and Tehran fought in different ways, but both were important. The Velari warriors used their strength to break the enemy lines. The humans used their speed and skill to protect. The fleet, together, they were stronger. As the battle reached its peak, a new danger appeared. Grith machines began to release small, crawling robots, tiny and fast. They moved toward the Velari ships, trying to disable engines and weapons. Tehran spotted them. Those machines are small, she said, but dangerous. Milo saw his chance. He organized human teams to fight the robots. With small pulse guns and quick moves, the humans battled the crawling machines. Milo led a team inside the Velari flagship to stop the robots before they could reach the engine room. The narrow corridors were dark and tight, perfect for the small robots. But the humans were quicker. They worked together, covering each other, destroying the enemy one by one. After a long fight, the robots were stopped. The flagship's engines roared back to full power. The Grith fleet began to retreat. When the battle ended, the Velari Council held a meeting. Tehran stood proudly before them. The humans fought bravely, she said. Their minds and speed saved many lives today. The council members looked at Milo with new respect. One elder said, perhaps we were wrong to doubt them. Milo smiled quietly. He was still small, but he had carried more than his weight back. On Earth, Milo and Tehran watched the stars from the embassy garden. We won this battle, Milo said. But the war is not over, Tehran replied. Milo nodded. We will be ready. Tehran looked down at him and said softly, you are small, but your heart is big. Milo smiled, and for the first time, he felt truly seen, not just as a small human, but as someone who could make a difference. The victory over the Grith fleet was a small but important step, yet the threat was far from over. Milo and Turan knew this well. The Grith were retreating, but only to gather strength and return stronger. The Villari Council called for a strategy meeting. On Earth, leaders from many planets joined. The room was filled with tension, whispers, and the weight of the coming war. Turan stood tall and calm beside Milo. "We cannot fight the Grith alone," she said firmly. "We need every skill and every hand." Milo felt the eyes of the Villari Council on him, again some curious, some doubtful. Turan continued, "Humans are small, yes, but they think quickly, adapt fast, and fight with heart. We will use those strengths." The council murmured, some nodded. Others still looked unsure. Milo cleared his throat. "We will not just survive. We will win together." The days after the meeting were filled with hard work. Milo helped train human soldiers and Villari warriors side by side. They shared ideas, learning from each other. Turan watched the training with pride. One afternoon, Milo and Turan went to visit a human research center. Scientists there were developing new technology to fight the Grith's small, powerful weapons, and smart drones that could move fast and think on their own. Milo walked through the labs. Amazed by the machines, a scientist showed him a small drone no bigger than his hand. "This drone can enter enemy ships and disable their systems," she explained. "It's quick and smart." Milo smiled. "That's what we need." Back at the embassy, Milo and Turan planned their next move. "The Grith will attack again," Turan said. "We must be ready." Milo nodded. "What do you want me to do?" "Lead the human teams," she answered. "Train them well. Prepare them for battle." Milo felt the responsibility grow heavier, but he was not afraid. Then the news came. A Grith strike force had landed on one of Earth's moons. The Villari fleet rushed to defend the base. Milo and the human teams were ready when they arrived. The scene was harsh. Buildings were damaged. Smoke rose into the air. Grith machines were still attacking. Milo and Turan led the defense. The Villari warriors fought fiercely, using their strength to hold the line. The human teams used their speed and clever tactics to protect the weak spots. Milo moved quickly between groups, helping where he could. He saw a small group of humans trapped behind debris. Without thinking, he rushed to help. With his strength and quick thinking, he cleared the path and led them to safety. The battle was long and hard. At one point, a large Grith machine cornered Milo. It was huge, its metal claws sharp and deadly. Milo had no weapon strong enough to fight it head-on, but he remembered what Turan had told him. "Use your mind. Use your speed." Milo dodged the machine's attacks, moving fast and low. He threw a small explosive device, aiming at the machine's joints. The explosion slowed the machine, and the Villari warriors finished it off. After the battle, the moon base was safe. Turan came to Milo and smiled. "You fought well." Milo smiled back. "We fought well, all of us." The victory gave hope to the people, but Milo knew the war was not over. The Grith would come again. The next attack would be stronger, smarter. Milo and Turan worked harder, training and preparing. They knew the future was uncertain, but together, they had a chance. One evening, Milo and Turan sat under the stars. "Do you think we can win?" Milo asked quietly. Turan looked at the sky. "Strength comes from many places," she said. "Muscle, mind, heart. You have all three." Milo smiled. "Then we will win, because we fight for more than just ourselves." Turan nodded. And under the bright stars, they made a silent promise to protect their home and each other, no matter the cost. This time, their fleet was larger and more deadly than ever before. Milo stood on the command deck beside Turan, watching the enemy approach through the glass windows. The stars were filled with hundreds of Grith ships, glowing with cold red lights. The Villari fleet was ready, but the battle would be hard. "Are the human teams ready?" Turan asked. Milo nodded. "They've trained hard. They know what to do." Turan smiled. "Good. We fight not just for ourselves, but for all. Who cannot?" The battle began with a roar. Ships fired beams of light, explosions bloomed like fireworks in space. Velari warriors charged forward, their strength shaking the enemy. Human pilots darted between the massive ships, fast and clever. They used new tactics, flying in patterns that confused the Grith. Milo directed the defense teams from the command center, focused on protecting the flagship. He shouted, "Use all available shields and weapons." The Grith attacked fiercely, trying to break through the defenses. Suddenly, a warning sounded. A Grith super weapon was charging. "This can destroy the fleet," a technician said urgently. Milo and Tehran exchanged a look. "We must stop it," Tehran said firmly. Milo sent a team of human engineers in small ships toward the weapon. They moved fast, dodging enemy fire. Inside the super weapon's core, the engineers planted devices to disable it. The countdown began. With seconds left, the devices exploded. The super weapon shut down with a loud roar. The fleet cheered. But the battle was not over. Tehran led a squadron to attack the main Grith command ship. Milo joined with a human team, using speed and smart weapons to break through enemy fighters. Together, they reached the Grith ship. Inside, they fought their way to the control room. Milo used his quick mind to hack the ship's systems, shutting down weapons and shields. Tehran and the Velari warriors held off enemy guards. With the command ship disabled, the Grith fleet began to retreat. The Velari and humans chased them back into the darkness of space. The battle was won. Back on Earth, Milo stood with Tehran in the embassy garden. The sky was clear, the stars bright. "We did it," Milo said quietly. Tehran smiled. "Together, we are strong." Milo looked up at the stars. "We are small," he said, "but we can carry great things." Tehran nodded. "You carried hope." The war with the Grith had changed many things. Humans and Velari became close allies. They learned that strength is not only muscle, but heart and mind. Milo felt proud of his people. He knew the future would hold new challenges, but he also knew they could face anything, as long as they stood together. And so, under the wide stars, the small human who was once thought too little to matter stood tall, ready to protect his world and those he cared for, no matter what came next. The days passed with growing tension. Milo and Tehran knew the Grith would return. Stronger and more dangerous, the peaceful moments were fading fast. The Velari fleet remained on high alert, ready to defend Earth and its allies. Milo spent his time training human teams and working with Velari engineers to improve their defenses. The small humans were learning fast, and their clever ideas impressed even the toughest Velari warriors. One afternoon, Tehran called Milo to a private room. "In the embassy, we have received new information," she said. Her voice was calm but serious. Milo sat down, listening carefully. "The Grith are planning a secret attack," she continued. "Not on the fleet or the planet, but here, on Earth itself." Milo's eyes widened. "Where?" he asked. Tehran looked at him. "Near one of the major cities. We do not know when or how many." Milo felt a cold fear, but also determination. "We must stop them," he said. The Velari and human teams prepared quickly. Tehran and Milo organized patrols around the city. They sent scouts to watch for unusual activity. Milo worked with human scientists to develop sensors that could detect Grith machines hidden in the city's shadows. For days, they searched. Then, one night, a sensor picked up a strange signal deep in the city. Milo and Tehran gathered their teams. "We move now," Tehran ordered. The city was dark and quiet. Milo's heart beat fast as they moved through empty streets. The Grith machines were hiding well, blending into the metal and shadows. Suddenly, a group of small Grith drones appeared, crawling out from underground tunnels. They moved quickly, attacking the patrol. The battle was sudden and fierce. Velari warriors used their powerful weapons to crush the machines. Human teams used pulse guns and smart traps to catch the small drones. Milo fought alongside them, dodging and striking. After defeating the first wave, they found the entrance to the underground tunnels. Milo and Tehran led the team inside. The tunnels were dark and cold, Filled with strange noises, deeper inside, they found a hidden Grith base. Huge machines hummed, and strange devices glowed with eerie light. "We must destroy this base," Turan said. Milo nodded. The team set explosives carefully, preparing to blow up the Grith machines. Suddenly, the ground shook. A massive Grith war machine appeared from the shadows. It was larger and stronger than any Milo had seen before. The machine's eyes glowed red as it charged. Turan shouted, "Fall back." Milo stayed behind. He had an idea. Using a small, fast drone, Milo sent it flying into the machine's control center. The drone exploded inside, damaging the machine's systems. The Grith war machine faltered, giving the Velari warriors time to attack. Together, they destroyed the machine, with the base destroyed. The team escaped just before the tunnels collapsed. Outside, Milo breathed deeply. "We stopped them," he said. Turan smiled. "For now." Back at the embassy, the council praised their success, but the warning remained clear. The Grith would not give up. Milo felt a new strength inside him. Though small, he was no longer afraid. He was part of something greater. Together with Turan and the Velari, he would protect Earth and all who lived there. One quiet night, Milo looked up at the stars. The war was far from over, but with courage, hope, and friends beside him, he believed they could face whatever darkness came next.